Recording started. Welcome everyone. This is the Viper Professional Training webinar. Today's date is Monday, August the 28th, 2017. And the title of tonight's webinar is Using the Object Power Trader Effectively. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we have, our live trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems, should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right, if not, we're going to go ahead and get started. Bear with me one second. For some reason, the question log disappeared, but I'm getting it back. There we go. All right, everybody doing okay this evening? Good deal. All right, well, what we're going to talk about tonight is using the Object Power Trader effectively. And to get started on that, first off, I get a lot of phone calls, and I mean, it's quite a few, that people transition from sim to live, and they really don't even know how to do it and everything. Now I'm going to show you real quick how to do this. Now I've actually got replay on, so basically what I'll be talking about, you'll have to just kind of understand what I'm getting at. But when you go to Object Trader, okay, and you right click on a chart, everybody knows first off you cannot have Chart Trader on, okay? If you've got Chart Trader, your strategies are grayed out, okay? That one I get a lot also. All right, so make sure Chart Trader is not on your chart. Right click and put Object Trader on. But as you put Object Trader on, it's going to automatically come up in the Sim 101 mode. Now mine's in Replay 101, but just pretend that it's in Sim 101. Okay. Now if you were to try to drop down to your live account, you cannot do that because you have to make sure under your global sim, I'll show you over here. This is a question I get asked a lot, so I thought I'd go over this in tonight's webinar. You want to go to File and then go to Global Simulation Mode and turn that off. Because if you don't turn that off, there's no drop down for your live account. Okay. Now you can also go into Tools, Options, Simulator, and actually always start in simulation mode. You can turn that off. But be very careful doing that because, you know, rather than starting in sim mode, you're starting in live mode on Chart Trader and everything else. Okay. So, you know, I usually leave mine in simulated mode and then just simply go over here and turn it off as I load my charts. Okay, anybody have any questions on that so far? That was one of the questions that literally I run into probably 3 times every day. Not exaggerating. Okay. All right, so make sure that if you do want to go into live, turn Global Sim off. All right, if you turn Global Sim off, if you right click and go to Strategies, now we're in replay mode, so it's not going to drop down. But if you had your live account, it would simply drop down with however many accounts you had. And then you just simply select the one you want to trade. Okay, it's that easy to do. All right, and we also have it to where display account name, you can have that set to true, and that'll actually show you the account name itself as you put Object Trader on the chart. I'll show you what I'm talking about there. Make sure we're true here. See how it says Replay 101 down there? If that was your live account, this would all be green. All this background that's silver right now or gray, it would be green. Okay. Now, if you happen to have changed your active color, which some people have done, your active color is forest green. Okay, for your object type, but your non-sim account is dark sea green, which is the same color as our Viper green background. Okay, now if you want to change this, you certainly can. You know, for instance, if I wanted this to be, oh, I don't know, like maybe a blue or something, I could do that by simply just putting it on my chart, and you'll see that non-sim account will be in blue. Well, it won't be on this one because it's not, it is a sim account because it's replay 101. Anyway, if we were in a live account, this would all be blue. Everybody knows that, right? Okay, just wanted to go over that just a little bit, let everybody know. And bear with me a second, I'll go ahead and get to our little chart that I like to show each time. And what we're going to talk about tonight is how to trade the different object types, because that's another one of the calls I get every single day, sometimes as many as 5-10 calls a day just about these. How do you start a region? How do you do bar close? How do you do PM1 and 2, the ray, the stealth, the sniper, the time trader, wedge, and predictor? Those are all object trader types, object types, and they're simply in that little drop down box. You'll notice when you go to your drop down box on Object Trader that it always starts with region. But if you've got the newest version of Object Trader, it's got all these in it. Okay, and you can choose any one of them at any moment, and if it's not in a trade, you can even pick another one. Even if it is in a trade, you can pick another one. For instance, if I wanted to, well, let's say, for instance, that this was to break right across here, for instance, and I wanted to short this, well, I could actually do that by simply turning on the short on predictor, even if I wanted to. See, I could actually do something like this. Short outside. If it happens to short outside that predictor, I could short it. It's that easy to do because it's treating it like a region. Okay. Now what I'm going to go over tonight, though, first off, we're going to go through how to use the Object Trader. And I'll start with region first off. Okay. We'll just start with the region, how to box in, because that question comes up a lot. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Object Trader on this chart. All right, and always make sure before you put Object Trader on a chart, make sure that you've got 4 range set on your predictor, 4 range set on your stealth, and also make sure always that your max contracts is set at how high you want it to be. Now I've got this one set to 5. We can go to 10, you can go to 15, you can go to 20, you can go to 1. Okay, that's just how many contracts per chart is what that means. If I set this at 5 and I wanted to trade 10 contracts of oil, I'd have to use 2 charts if I had it set at 5. Or I'd have to go in here and change this to 10. Okay, but this is just the number of contracts per chart. So, if I set this at 5 and I wanted to do 15 contracts and didn't want to change this from 5, all I'd have to do is do 3 charts. If you do something like that, that's just per chart. So I usually like to keep mine on 5 or even 10. It's up to you what you want to keep it on. But whatever you set it at, remember to right click and set it as your default. Now, another thing that I highly recommend doing, right here, see where it says start long enabled true and start short enabled true? You want to turn those to false. The reason for that is because if you start a region with it on true, then it's already ready to fire the trade. Let me show you what I mean by that. I'll just leave them on true for a second. You'll notice that it's set for true right here, right? So if I hit insert, that's ready to fire long above and short below because those are already set. So I want to make sure and turn that off. So that you can turn them off manually before you get in a trade. You see what I mean? But if you just simply set it in your strategy, you won't have to do that. And I always do mine the exact same way all the time. And I turn these off to false like that and set your max number however you want it. Right click and set your default. That's all there is to it. Okay. Now, when I'm ready to trade a region now, you'll notice that this is turned off. Now, this is really important, by the way, because, for instance, if you had like 4 contracts set and you had a region pop up and this was already turned on, you could be, let's say that it went down below it and fired a short, but then all of a sudden popped up through it. Well, you could be down $400 real easily on your P&L simply because you didn't know that this was live. Because when we added this new region, this is movable, it's sizable, everything about it, but it's also live. If that price crosses and it matches a particular situation that you're telling it up here, it will fire the trade. Okay, I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to just move it into price, and I'll show you. We'll just fire like one. But let me go ahead and start the data. Let's say that I wanted to do let's do a close. We'll just do a close. All right. Now, if I set this like this and I set that for close below, it wouldn't do till here, right? But if I set it here, this closes inside that box, it would go ahead and fire one contract. Okay, now watch, if it does close, we'll have one contract on. It's all how you do your box. Okay, should fire one if that bar closes. May not close, we'll find out. A little slow, isn't it? Let's go ahead and speed it up a little bit so we'll get it closing one way or the other. But I'll show you how you can actually move this box live and actually literally get into the trade by just simply moving the box if you want. If that closes, there we go. See, we just fired, okay? Now, if I wanted to fire again, on this particular one, all I'd have to do is that like that and turn that back on, and if that one closes, I'd have two in. Now, not necessarily that I would want to do that, because usually what you want to do is you want to wait for it to thrust, retrace into resistance, and roll over. But see how that fired two? I can move this any way I want. I can even move it here and fire another one if it even touches that top. Although touch you want to be careful with because you can get in those multiple contracts. Okay, let's see if we can get another one. I don't know if we can or not, but it should go back to resistance. We'll see. I'll speed it up just a little bit. Okay, if it gets within the top and closes inside, now it didn't do that yet, and it may not because it looks like it's going to break down. Okay, notice how we didn't get any extras at all. Well, what if I wanted to add right here? I can move it live on the chart. Now, I'm not saying to get in on thrust like this. I'm just trying to show you how to use the tool. Okay, let's see if we can get like maybe near stealth. Let's see. See, that should add one. Let's see if we can go one more in here. We've already hit some targets. Let's see if we can get another one like right in through here. Maybe, maybe not. See if we can get stealth. Anybody really utilize the box like we designed it this last time around? Because this little box is pretty cool. Yeah, I don't have my bottom on, you're right. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and turn the bottom on. Let's see if we can get one. And go, well, let's just go to like stealth like that right there even. If it just closes down, we'll get in one. See there? You just got in two now. See how easy that is to do, to move your box and everything? What if I wanted to, if this thing was to really break down, what if I said, you know what? I might want to just jump in this thing for the gusto. If it breaks here, on the fly, I can do whatever I want. Okay, before this gets in a trade, I can do whatever I want to do because the little trader is ready to go. Okay, I can even move it in real time like that even. And if it breaks that little swing on lightning, we can take it. See what I mean? It's a pretty powerful little tool, actually. I like the region. Now, notice that you can only add to region, but you cannot scale out on region. That probably will be added, but if you want to scale out, use PM or one of the other tools, even like Sniper. Okay. Now, notice if I've got 10 contracts available that I'm only going to get in 6 with this if this happens to close below here. Okay. Let's see if it does. Anybody trade this last night, by the way? This was actually pretty tradable Sunday night. Okay. Now, if this ever goes off, like changing sessions, you notice we went to a new day, and I think I've got mine turned off. But if this turns off, we'll simply turn it back on. Okay, because it's got basically a new session just happened with that little line right there. Okay, now this is how to use the region right here. Okay, now if that closes, we'll have 6. Just showing you how to use it, not necessarily that this is going to be a great trade, just showing you how to use the tool. There you go, you just got 6. See there? Okay, now, what if you wanted to use this box to get out of a trade? Well, you can't do that, okay? Now, you can, though, if you want to go ahead and use another tool. To give an example, like if I wanted to get out of, well, let's just say we're in 5 and we want to use another tool on here, we could actually use, for instance, your PM trade. Long, I've got 5 on, maybe I want to get out of 3 of them if this happens to go green. You can do that by simply doing long enabled, 3 contracts, and if this happens to break a little power meter green, then we'll be out of some of those contracts. Okay? We're trying to actually just get you the absolute best tools you can possibly have to trade with, that you can change on the fly. You can move your targets on the fly. Notice that I don't even have my stop moved yet. If I was really trading this, obviously you would. We'll put it there above that swing for now. How many of you are really proficient with most of the object types? Why are there 2 active hide predictor buttons when the strategy is live? The reason for that is, Dennis, because there actually technically is 2 sets of predictors on these charts. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If I click hide predictor, you'll notice that they all go away, right? That's because it hides the predictor. But if you go to indicators, you'll notice that I have a predictor MTF on for range, but ObjectTrader also has a predictor MTF on. That's why they have to be set the same. You could technically make a template without predictor and without stealth, and then you could call it up with the strategy. I just override them, is what I do. It's a lot easier to do it that way. That was kind of a monster move, wasn't it? Let's see, just a second. By the way, keep those questions coming in because I'm going to try to go over as much as I can on all these different ones. I showed you how to use the region. I'm going to go ahead and slow this down, and I'll show you some other tools. Now, if you try to use PM right now, let's just go ahead and kill this trade. If you try to use PM and go short, you can't do it because, see, it's already red. Now, that is coming up with Viper very, very soon to where it will actually take that trade when it breaks that swing right there. Okay, even if that's red. For instance, let's just fire it if it does, just for the fun of it. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with the dog. Okay, so you basically, with your PM type trade, if it's already red like this, you're not going to be able to add a trade there. So you're going to have to figure out another way to add a trade. What if I wanted to do bar close? Let's just turn on bar close. You don't have to worry about T and B buttons except on region. Okay, your sniper, you can use those buttons also. Time trader, when we get it working the way it should be. Wedge, okay, and of course your predictor, okay, but your bar close, to give an example, you're not even worried about these. These can be turned off even. It doesn't even matter, okay. But if I turn this on and I wanted to get 3 contracts, if that bar closes down, I would be in 3. And if this bar closes up, I could actually be in 3 the other way if I wanted to. Now, with this being short, I turn that off. Let's see, I would like to be able to select the targets to be set when taking a trade versus the current round robin settings. Yeah, Kenneth, what you're talking about, to where you're saying that you'd like to be able to choose how many go on each target. I think that's what you mean, right? And I feel for you on that because that's exactly what I want also. What Kenneth is talking about here is, what if I set this for 5 contracts, to give an example? How many will it fire on each one of these? Anybody got a guess? Well, let's just see. Now, I can tell you what it should do. It should do 2 here, 1, 1, and 1. Because the way it does is, like Kenneth says, it goes like in a round robin. 1, 1, 1, 1, and then back to 1. So you'd have 2, 1, 1, and 1 if I set it on 5. But to make things a little less simple, what if I did this and turned one of the targets off and still had 5? It works the same exact way. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So you'd have 2, 2, and 1. And watch and see if it didn't do just that. See, there you have target 1 is 2, target 2 is 2, and target 3 is just 1. So with 5 contracts, you have 2, 2, and 1. Let's see. So just to add another target, when I add to a trade as a new target versus adding to one of the existing targets. I see what you're getting at. In other words, let's say that basically, let's just get rid of some contracts. Let's go ahead and get rid of like 3 of them. Let's get rid of 1 more. Okay, you're talking about you'd like to actually have a set target. See, this is like target 3 now, which is quantity 1. So technically, if you do 1 more contract, which target should it end up on? Anybody? Because that's a little tougher, actually, because of the way it rolls over. Okay, see, you're on target 3. I've already killed both the other targets. So if I sell 1 more, where does my target go? Anybody? The first one, let's see, went to the second one. Why did it go to the second one? Because it basically, I guess, rotates back. Let's add 1 more. It went to the third one, so it rotated forward. Let's add 1 more. It went to target 1. Now, truthfully, on that, I'm not exactly sure exactly how that rollover. To me, when I got rid of some targets by buying to cover, you know, to me, if you had target 2, it should have gone back to target 1. I agree with that. So more than likely, what we're going to do is we're going to have an ability. It may take months. I'm not going to promise you right away, but we're going to have an extra panel that's going to go with ObjectTrader. And more than likely, we're going to get some things where we can actually choose, you know, where we want, maybe even to split targets and things like that. You know, that could be just something we look at down the road. Okay, but the one thing that I've found with it to begin with is a lot of times I don't really care, because I look at this right here and I think, whoa, what a monster morning, right? That's all I care about, actually. When we designed ObjectTrader, this is exactly what I was interested in right here, was being able to, rather than having to do chart trader and do different strategies and trying to remember which one I used for what, I just automatically know what ObjectTrader does. And that's what I try to teach everybody in every webinar. Now, is it a perfect trading system? Probably not. But personally, I think it's the best ninja strategy there is, myself. Of course, I'm kind of biased because obviously, you know, we built it and we do feel that way about it. And it's our little baby, so to speak. But yeah, Kenneth even says, yeah, it's pretty close, because there are things I'd love to do. And truthfully, if I was a programmer, you know, as good as the one we hire, ObjectTrader would already be updated big time. Because once our programmer got married and kids and everything, it is a lot harder to get stuff done than it used to be. But we kind of put up with some of it because, you know, it just kind of goes in stages. But is this a tradable system that a person can make money on? Absolutely. You know, to me, bar none, it's probably one of the best I think there is, period, actually. I actually love it. Okay, so let's see, we've gone over like bar close. Everybody know how bar close works. Bar close just simply, if you turn on bar close, you don't have any of this. You don't care about any of this down here. Bar close, you just simply turn on bar close, however many contracts you want. Okay, if that bar closes down, it will fire a market order with your broker, and you will be in the trade with the bar close. Okay, we're going one time. I'll turn it up to about 10 times. So hopefully we'll get something. See if this closes down. And by the way, short means the bar has to close down, and long means the bar has to close up. Okay. Now, if I was looking for a long, I'd obviously turn on long instead, but we're looking technically for a short still, obviously, because this isn't even taking predictors out. Okay. So, Kenneth, you're saying just allow you to check a target or more than one at rent. Whoa, look at that. Hit all the targets while I was just yakking. Now, remember, if I wanted to do a PM trade, this is already short, so I can't take this trade. But if I did want to take this trade anyway, which of these would you use? What do you think? Because if it doesn't break stealth, you can't use stealth either. Now, when we get our new stealth, you're going to be able to control stealth to where you can get in that trade anyway if you want. Yeah, you could use a wedge. You want to try a wedge? Now, with wedge, what you want to do is you want to put the wedge here, draw a ray, okay, and we'll go ahead and just do a short outside and even a short inside, and we'll do a touch like +2 to give an example. So if that actually touches that wedge by 2 ticks, we should get a trade. Now, wedge is not as perfect as I want it to be, and that's also going to be worked on. It's one of my 7 videos I sent the programmer. So I don't use wedge as much right now simply because of that. Let's see, on stealth, if red stealth, the only trade possible is a short and vice versa for green. Yes, now see how that fired right there? Okay. Now you'll notice that we got all 3 targets set on 10, so we naturally need to move some of them. Okay. Kenneth, at this time that's something that we could probably work with. You know, keep in mind that even the way stealth is drawing right now, we're going to have the ability to change it in real time. You know, for instance, if you saw like a double bottom and you wanted to get an early stealth, you'll be able to change this, the period of it, you know, how many bars it takes. You're going to be able to control the slope of it, the angle, and you'll be able to do it. From what I understand, he's going to put a tab up here, and you're going to click a tab, and this is going to all go blank, and you're going to have some settings on a different panel. Let's see, I was asking, since you said earlier that TMB buttons were not needed for stealth. Yeah, so on stealth, technically it's in its little bit earlier stage of life, so to speak. So you won't be really, you'll be able to utilize it quite a bit more once we get some of these things finished. But let me show you something here. I'll show you how to use stealth. Because see, we're starting to get a gap in stealth. Okay, now, if it gets another gap in stealth, what if we wanted to go short? Okay, let's just do that. I'll close this trade out. We don't care about the trade. All right, let's see if it'll retrace some. This looks like a little retracement to me. Let's see if it'll, no, it didn't block out stealth yet. Let's just wait a minute. No, it's still heading down so far. Let's see, sometimes I would like to be able to take an opposite trade when it breaks stealth up or down. And that could easily be added to it, Kenneth. That wouldn't be a problem. And Ed also asked that. I thought predictor only worked on white and green predictors. I was surprised when it took a short at magenta. Well, the reason for that is, Ed, and I'm going to go over that tonight too. The reason for that is because you can actually control that. Let's go ahead and turn stealth on. Short stealth. We'll do like 4. Now see stealth, how it's totally missing now? There's no stealth. Well, if it goes into a stealth, it'll go ahead and fire the trade. Let's see if we can at least scalp it. Let's just go for a scalp. Let's go for a scalp and see if we can get one. No stealth yet. Now notice that you can't trade power meter because it's already red. Now you could have up here. Notice that that was actually green up here. If it goes green again, we still can. and then we could simply turn this on. But we're going to have real-time lightning very, very shortly. So see there, now you could use lightning now. See how lightning changed green? Now we're going to use stealth instead, but let's just see what we get. Ed, on your question, I'm going to go over that too in a minute with predictor, because the way we design predictor, and again, it's going to get some work done on it also. But the way predictor does, you want to mainly use the trend if you want to short white ones and buy green ones. Because if you don't use the trend, it's going to actually be just like you set up a region. You know, for instance, if I set up a region right here, you know, a real region, then it's going to do exactly what I tell it to do. Okay, it doesn't care what color it is. Let's see if we can get something. We've got stealth turned on. Show you how stealth trades. We still don't have stealth. See it? It's still blank. Now, if this crater's here in a minute, it will fire it. Now, truthfully, I would have already fired this because it hit. You know, I mean, it was just pretty obvious. You could see it. We'd call this trade in a heartbeat in the room, wouldn't we? Like that, or even like this. Or even box it. Would already be in it. Real-time lightning, Mindy, what that's going to be is when you've actually got, let me stop this for just a second. When you've actually got lightning drawing on your chart, basically the moment that it breaks the identified swing, we're talking about a short right now, okay? The moment it breaks that identified swing with the close of a bar, okay, that lightning indicator turns red. And you can't use lightning to get a short anymore because it's already red. You see what I mean? So in other words, if I turned on power meter over here and I had a situation like this where I had a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low, that's going to stay red until it takes out that swing at this moment anyway. So what if it did this instead and didn't take that out and then did this? That would never change from red. But with the new scripts that we're going to have, we're going to actually be able to choose a lower high, like a bar rollover that might get it even up in here. Put your stop just here. And also the breakout. So we're going to actually try to get the real-time lightning where it'll take this trade, but it'll also look for this trade when it breaks that little area right there. And it won't care if that's already red. Now, if you don't have it turned on, obviously it won't do anything. Okay? But by doing this, to give you an example, what if you would have been around at 12 o'clock last night? If you look at this, and I'll draw it so everybody can see it nice and slowly. See that little thrust down right there? Well, actually, it even did this. See it? It did this right here. And it did this right here. Like that, see? Now, when this broke, this little swing right across here with a closed bar, it didn't do it on this one. See how that closed back above it? So technically, that one wouldn't fire it, okay? But this one would right here. See how it took out that swing? Okay, so what you're looking at is each time it breaks these little swings with a closed bar, you could actually add contracts. Okay, so let's say that I started out here and I added one. Let's say I started with one. Then I add one here. Then I add one here. I'm in 3 total. Okay, and then I ride my runner, for instance, just down beautifully or whatever. But what if I wanted to add another one right here even? Or actually, it might even be right across here. See, because this did a little thrust down. Well, technically, it didn't do it till here. See it? Thrust, retrace, broke. Thrust, retrace, didn't break. Thrust, retrace. You might have actually gotten it right across there, possibly. Depends on how you had your power meter set. Okay? But that's what I want to do, is to where people can get in these trades and even add if they want to. Because you can even add with bar close if you want. I'm going to show you how to do that too. Okay. Any questions thus far? because these little things that we're going to make this object trader do can really enhance your bottom line. Okay, because to give an example, you would basically be, let's just draw this real quick. Drawing tools, text, we'll do a 1, need to change the font on it. We'll go to black and probably about a 20. All right, this would be one contract right here, right? Everybody knows that when it breaks. But this would be another one right here, right? Okay, so what you're looking at in a case like that, I didn't copy that, did I? Let's copy it and paste it a couple of times. All right, these out of the way. This would be another one right here, right? So that would technically be your second trade, right? But then what if it did, okay, and it kept on going, let's say, but then it came on down, went back up, but didn't take out that swing again? Would this be a third one, or even a third one here? And the answer is yes on that. So basically, you'd be in another one, like right here. This would be your third one. This is going to be real-time lightning. All right? And then you could just simply put your PM, to give an example. What if you were in 3 here, and all of a sudden it takes out this little swing? Well, maybe you want to take one off, but not all of them until it takes this one out. That's your secondary swing. Okay? So this is what I'm looking at right here, and I think this would work out quite well for all of us, is real-time lightning. Because, see, if you had missed this trade here with PM, you could never get this trade at all. Okay? And you wouldn't have gotten this trade over here either when it broke this swing, which would be number 4. That's why I think real-time lightning can be really, really important to us. But technically, tonight's going to be teaching on what we already have. And also with the safety of following the trend too, Lee, that's going to be a beauty of this too, is when we do the real-time lightning, we'll probably call it, I don't know, maybe PM1 dash RT or something like that, real-time, maybe something like that. But anyway, you'll still be able to choose to do required trend, auto it like that and everything. Okay, so in other words, it would not take a long if it broke up and you did get that turning green. It would just simply look for the shorts only, as long as this background was like this. Oh yeah, it would. Matter of fact, it would have worked great on oil. Remember that trade we called on oil in the room earlier today? It would have worked on that one also. It was just absolutely a monster. Okay, let me see. Let's go over some other object types. Bear with me a second. I got some questions come in. But you were saying with the real-time lightning, you don't have to wait for the break, but can trade the retrace. Well, what we're going to do, Mark, basically what I want to do is have it to where each time you break this right here, if you want to do the retrace instead, what about an either-or situation? What if it only comes up to here instead and then rolls over? You see what I mean? Because that could happen. See, this could happen like this instead. You know, where you just basically break down like this and you only get back to resistance like that and then roll over. Okay? But as long as you get a lower high than the previous swing, we'll try to get this trade here. You know, now you're not going to get it on the money, but, you know, we're going to try to nail it as close as we can to it. You know, maybe look at a 50% retracement on this. You know, that wouldn't have qualified though. You see what I mean? The only way really that I can see to do it better would be, you know, let it retrace and the bar close takes it, as long as it's a lower high on a short. Okay, but real-time lightning with today, to give an example on crude, you could have made a living fortune on it. Matter of fact, remember when I mentioned in the room that 5 contracts on oil and taken out all but 2. That was a killer trade. I mean, that was phenomenal. And using the tools. Let's see. Well, you could with bar close, absolutely. And Peter, that's what I want to show tonight too, is, if you couldn't, and you got to think quick, it's one of those things where you got to be able to chew bubble gum and walk at the same time. But power meter's already read. How would I get in this trade if I wanted to? Well, Peter said bar close. See there? Because bar close will do it on a bar close period. It doesn't care if it's got any kind of retracement or anything. If that bar closes down, it'll take it. If that bar closes up, it won't touch it. Okay? And you could also even use the box in. Obviously you would have boxed in, but let's just box it in just for the fun of it. We'll use our little region. Now keep in mind, if you're going to use your region and you're looking at shorts, you don't want to take a long out of that, right? Look at this move down, lower highs and everything, right? So you would simply turn off your long, and you don't even have to worry about a long getting in that. The bar close is just a market order. See, there's no way around that either, Kenneth, because it's real easy just to fire a market order, okay? Just to hit the sell button. But with bar close, it's waiting on the bar to actually close. Well, what if this bar closes up? Well, let's just see what it does. We'll leave bar close on. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Let's just see what it does. I'm going to go ahead and do like 4 just for the fun of it. If bar closes down, it'll get you in 4 contracts. And you'll watch the bar close and you'll usually get about a tick or 2 underneath it. Depends on how fast it slams it. Bar close is one I use a lot. I practically wear that button out. And I wear out this button too, these two, because just like when we draw in the room, we draw those lines and we say we want to short at resistance. The second it hits resistance, I'm going to hit the button, and then put my stop nice and tight. Remember YM earlier today? We called out 777. We didn't let it go back below 777. See there? You just got in 4. Yeah, but 3 of them are on one deal is why. Okay? That's how you use bar close. So, in other words, if you can't use power meter until we get the real time built, and by the way, real time would actually fire right there on that bar. See why? Because it's thrusting down, a little retrace, a little thrust down, a little retrace, breaks. That would be an actual PM trade. But that won't change colors now, so we couldn't get that trade. But we will be able to get that trade in the future. Okay, let's see. We've gone over bar close, and I guess everybody knows, obviously, it would fire long if you turned on the long. Now, it will do something else, too. I'm going to show you this, not that we would take the trade, but if you wanted to reverse on a bar close, if I'm short and that bar closes up, it will reverse the trade. Now I'm not saying to trade it this way by any means. I'm just going to show you how it works. If we get a bar close up, it will reverse the trade. We've got all kinds of features built into ObjectTrader. Trying not to make it too complicated, but unfortunately, we can all see that it needs things even added now. So it's got to get a little complex because it needs some things. Let's see if we get a bar close up. I'll show you how that'll flip. Bar close down, so maybe not for a bit. The moment it does, it'll flip it though. Although I turned it back off, so let's turn it back on because it just got in the trade on the short. Okay, so let's just flip it if it goes long bar close just for the fun of it. Just to show you how it works. And it'll flip exactly how many you've got too. Okay, pardon me. It'll flip what the quantity is. If that bar closed up, then that should actually flip. Now this is turning off on its own for some reason. I've got to fix that. But see how that flipped when I turned it on? Okay, so we're in 4 long. If we turned it on again, we could even add 4. You know, it's just however you want to use bar close. Now, like I say, I'm not saying to do this here, but that looks like a little double bottom. Maybe, maybe not. It did bounce off a predictor too. What we've done is just made the tools where you can utilize them the way you want to use them. Okay, I'll go ahead and kill this trade. All right, let's see, is the bar close? Okay, I already got that. Let's see. So we've gone over region and bar close and PM trade. Everybody knows how to use PM trade, right? PM trade, what you want to do, for instance, if I wanted to take a PM trade on this chart right now, I have to wait for it to go green. Okay. Now with the new real time, there it is. It just went green. Let's just go ahead and try one. See how PM, if that goes red, I'll fire a short. We'll see. Well, that actually fired on, I'm not sure exactly why that did that. That shouldn't have done that. That would make me a little bit on the upset side. But anyway, let's try it again. PM red. I think what the deal is, though, that it was looking to the left and the right, and it saw that on the left side that was still a short. That's what happened on that. And obviously it took us out. Let's see, on sniper line above price is the top button and line below the bottom button. Yes, that is the case. Let me show you on that, okay? How that works. Bear with me just 1 second. Okay. If you use your sniper line to give an example, if you want to use your sniper line on your chart, what you want to do is you want to be ready for, like a region is what you're actually doing. You want to see how we did? Matter of fact, we did this little trade in the room this morning. Anybody remember it at all? Right now I'm going to show you how to use the wedge again, though, because I did this trade in my own personal today. I saw this happening in real time. And I actually went long above like that. And the reason I did, because see it breaking that swing right there? Now this doesn't mean that it's a trend change, but it does mean that it took out my line 3 or my lightning 3 power meter. Okay, so if that closes up, we'll go ahead and just take some, but we're going to scalp it. We're just going to go for scalp only. See how that's getting a higher low? I was watching that this morning with my own account. I had just gotten up and I saw this happening, and I just simply turned on my wedge. Might have even turned on my lightning, I don't remember, but I used one of them. And if lightning goes green, you'll see it, and that will also break that wedge. Okay, we're going to go over the sniper here in just a second. Let's just watch this wedge for just 1 second. Let's see if we get the trade. I know we do because I took this trade this morning. I even talked about it. Now notice it has to close above it. There you go. You just got in. Okay. Now I'd probably protect my stop at least under there. Okay. Because we don't know if this is going to roll over at mid-band, do we? And it could easily roll over at mid-band. But the reason I took it was because I saw it take out what I consider to be my medium swing. And it was going to either head up or it was going to do a phantom and check this swing and roll over. And that's what oil did. Remember the short we got in the room this morning? Now, what if you wanted to use sniper? Okay. By the way, 10 ticks on oil with 4 is just not a bad trade, truthfully, because that's like $400. It's not a bad way to trade. Okay, but anytime I go against a trend, and I highly recommend everybody else do it too, I would highly recommend scalping it. Because we don't know for sure if it's going, I would surmise that it's going at least to right here. See that swing over here to the left? So I might take a chance and actually try to get that even. See what I mean? And I'd tighten my stop right now, just in case, because we don't know if this is going to roll over. We just don't know. Okay, I'm going to put it under the swing though, at least under mid-band. See, I'm willing to risk 3 ticks to make $400 probably, yeah. There you go, you just got it. Okay, now what if you wanted to utilize the sniper lines? Does anybody remember this particular trade this morning? This was coming up on 8 o'clock. I want to show you how to do the sniper lines or a region. Let's just go ahead and kill the trade. Let's go to sniper. Go to horizontal line. I usually get rid of one if it's already on there and put a fresh one. That way sniper knows it's the one I want. Okay. And we had a box draw here. Remember this morning? Anybody? We had a little box draw. So how would I take this trade if I decided that I wanted to go ahead and get it? Well, you could actually go long above, short below, reverse even. And since it's a red background, I'd probably only scalp it if it went up, probably 5 or 7 ticks, something like that. And then you need to turn on sniper. See there? It just broke above, closed above. And if it takes out this little swing right here, I'll get this one out of the way. We don't need it right now. If it takes this one out here, we'll reverse it. And we'll watch it and see if it makes a higher lightning. Okay, see how I'm utilizing sniper? Now I could also use PM because PM is lightning. And if this does a high, a low, a lower high, and then rolls, that would actually change that to red. Remember this little trade this morning? I got taken out of my long one underneath the swing. Now see how that broke right there? I didn't get everything moved because it's right at the open, but anyway, you can see what it would do. Okay, see how you can utilize sniper? Now what if I wanted to, if this was to actually break here and I wanted to add to this, I could simply turn this on and let's just add 2. And by the way, you can even tell it, you know what? I want you to at least close below this X number of ticks. Now this is not the way I trade it, but I want to show you how you can utilize this. I could tell this I want to close 5 ticks below that before I fire that trade if I want to. Just showing you how the tools work. Okay. Let's see if we can get that one. I'm going to show you how it'll actually fire only 5 ticks below that line. And that's if it gets 5 ticks below that line. See, we designed this where it's got offsets on it. And when you're looking at a sniper line, the bottom line is the B button and the top line is the T button. But what if I move this line under here and then hit the button again? Notice that this stays green, but it's not even active. See, it doesn't have a little dot on it because that's my line that is above price. Anytime the price is above the line, it's the bottom line. And if it's below the line like that and I hit enter, see how it turns green? Just go ahead and do that if it does 5 ticks under just for the fun of it so you can see. And I'm going to kill the trade so you can tell that it'll actually do close plus 5 ticks just to show you how the thing works. It's pretty cool. One thing about it too, don't think this is kind of like drinking through a fire hose, because really you'll utilize the tools the way you want to use them, and you don't truthfully have to use them, every single one of them. You know, I play around with every tool on there so much that I've learned every one of them, and a lot of our people have, but you don't have to. Now notice that I don't have this set for just close. It's got to close 5 ticks under it. Now, like I said, I'm not saying that's how you trade it, but might keep you from getting wicked into a trade. See how that has to close 5 ticks under it, or it will not fire that trade. I'll show you how you can add with Sniper also, because anybody see where more than likely this is going to hit its head? Okay, if it does 5 ticks out, it'll fire the trade. But you can tell that it's going to more than likely thrust down, pull back into here, check resistance, which is right across this area, right where midband is, or even lower, and roll over. See this 1,000 times. See how touch plus 5 hadn't fired that trade? No fakey. You can do that with a region too, by the way. You don't have to let them fake you in even with a closed bar. See how they closed that bar right on that line? That would have fired a trade with close. But right now I'm looking for 5 ticks under just to show you how it works. If it goes 5 ticks, it'll fire. There you go. Now, wouldn't that be a perfect spot to have gotten in more? See how it came right to where I said it would? When they break down, they always go back and check, and this would have been a perfect area to add some right there. Now, how could you add? Let's say that I was only in 2. Let's just pretend I'm only in 2 now, okay? How would you add to this if you wanted to get in more on this trade? Anybody? You're thinking on the fly. You're saying, well, what do I do? You know, you got support right across here. What if I wanted to add something there? Could I do that? Bar close? Well, bar close would still close above this support though. So what other tool do we have that might go ahead and do this trade? You want to see one that'll actually do it too? Sniper, absolutely. I'll show you another one too that you can also do. What if it broke this swing right here? So that means it would go into predictor more than likely. I could actually do this with my predictor trade. And if that closes inside that square there with that short inside, it would fire that trade short. See, because I just chose predictor without choosing a trend. So in other words, my top button is the top of that, just like a region. And as long as another one doesn't print, that is, it's going to remember this predictor until another one prints, just like that box. Just like I set a region up there. Now again, I'm not saying this is how I would take this trade, but this is a way that you could utilize a tool that if this was to break support here, then more than likely it's going to head on down, isn't it? So could I use the predictor? Sure. And it will fire it if it gets there. Everybody remembers this trade in the room this morning. We took this. So this isn't, you know, just after the fact remembering it. It's showing you how to use the tools of what we already took. Okay, if that closes inside the box, it should fire the trade. Do we have it on touch? No, we got it on, oh, we got it on close plus 5, duh. Let's do that instead. Bear with it just a second. Oh, we had sniper on, no wonder. Let's put it on predictor. There we go. That's why it fired, because sniper was on and that line was right up here. Let's see if we get that trade. I'll just kill the trade and see if we can get it. See there? See how it fired inside? What if I wanted it again, if it fired out the bottom? Just turn that like that. And if it fires outside that box, it would fire more contracts. See there? That's the way you can utilize these tools in real time. I want to show you another neat little trick, especially when the market starts moving. One of my favorites. I'm going to slow this down just 1 second. And let's build a chart. And let's do a little larger Renko bar. I'm going to do a 5 with a 10 rollover. I'll show you something here. Bear with it just a second. Hopefully it will load. Everybody see why that still fired a short there? Because I just simply didn't use trend. It's simply a region. But it's going to look at every one of these like a region, so you got to know what you're doing here. Okay, let's look at this, a lot larger bar, right? But that bar's not even closed yet. What if I turned on a strategy and said, you know what? If a bigger bar closes down, I want to take that trade. I simply choose bar close. But what if I wanted to add even on another bar close and do it on auto? And let's just do 2 at a time, and let's get our targets out of the way. Bar close will add each time a bar closes, we're in 4. If another bar closes down, we should be in 6. Okay, and I'm going to get my this out of the way for just a minute, just to show you how you can utilize this bar close on auto mode. Now remember, I've got a max quantity set of 10. So if you use this feature, make sure you know how many contracts you can handle, because if this bar closes down, this will fire 2 more contracts, and then 2 more after that if another bar closes down. See what it does. I'll put it on like 50 times. Let's just see what it does. I think everybody remembers this move on oil this morning. This was a monster. Do they retrace a little bit? Sure, even on larger bars. See how larger bars kind of, you're not just getting in contract after contract, because that's literally like a 10 or 12 tick. See there? I just got an 8, now 10. Now it won't go any more than 10 now, okay, because 10 is my most. But if I happen to get a target, see, now it'll add again and again. See there? Okay. And what if I want to, if a bar closes up, just go ahead and just close them all out. I got 10 on. I'd have to set this for 10 and bar close up. And if that bar closes up, I could be out of all 10. It won't reverse it. It'll just simply close my trade out. So I could ride this thing as long as I wanted, as long as those bars go downward instead of up. But if a bar closes up, I could go ahead and get out. See how you can utilize that little feature right there? And I'm not going to turn on auto on it. I'll just get out of the trade. If that bar closes up, it'll close out all 7 contracts. It won't do 10 unless I hit reverse. See there? You're flat. Okay? Now, did that turn out to be a pretty nice trade with your larger bars? Absolutely it did. Where are we looking for another trade? Right around mid-band, aren't we? Could you utilize? I'm not going to do 10, obviously. We'll turn that back on. It's right at mid-band. Let's see if we can get in a trade. Now notice that I'm not going yellow bars and all that because I'm using a large bar. Now that's a mid-band trade right there, right? Okay, notice how I got in pretty late though, simply because it's such a large bar, and I'd have to put my stop just above there. But see how that keeps adding to where I'll be in 4, and then if it happens to add some more, if I move my targets out of the way, it'll just keep adding 2 contracts every time a bar closes. If I was through on the trade, then we could actually just get out again. If it happened to bar close up like that, we could go ahead and be out, but I didn't turn it on. See if we can get in. We're in 4. We'll leave our stop just right above the swing, like so. Not an exit on close on that large of a bar. And then let's see if it'll roll on over. See there? Rolled over again. And see, it'll get in as many as you want. Okay? I could simply turn this to my 10 again, and if it bar closes up, we'll get out of all of them. So see, you can utilize ObjectTrader on larger bars if you want. You can utilize it on, now with that kind of a thrust, I think I would have waited for a little deeper. So let's just kill this trade. Okay, so far we've gone over region, bar close, PM. PM1 is simply the small bar, basically little, low, high, higher, low, and then a little higher, high, or vice versa for a short. But then the PM2 requires a little bit larger chart. Let me show you a little bit larger swing. Let's go ahead and take this out just for a second. Okay, now what the PM2 actually has to have at least 2 bars. Like, see, for instance, if you started here, that's 2 bars up, 1 bar down, didn't get 2. Okay, now watch PM2 if it actually ever even turns red. See there? See, it turned red also. That's the PM2 is a little later than PM1 because it's looking literally at 2 bars at a time that it has to have. If you don't get those 2 bars, then you're not gonna get that trade. Okay, that's why I like to personally use the PM1 instead. This looks like a pretty good little run. We missed it with our, I'm not sure, well, that was red just a second ago. It was because it took out that little swing, wasn't it? We just missed that trade while I was talking. See why, by the way, just like I did earlier, why you would have taken that trade long, boxing it in above mid-band? I've got it going like 300 times, so that's why it's moving so quick. Okay, so let's see, so far, PM1 and PM2, everybody knows that. Now, Ray, I'm not going to go over tonight because I don't really use the Ray, but it's an object type that you just simply use the insert key and you have to use the enter key like we used to have to do on the region. And that's not one that I use. So we've gone over stealth, right? And time trader is going to be a part of our little repertoire here pretty soon. And the way time trader will work in the very near future anyway. Let's see, we opened the room at 8 o'clock, which your box would have been right here. I'll show you how to do this. For right now, you want to trade this manually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a box for today at 7:59 in white. And you'll see right where that box was. And all you have to do to trade it is, see, here's your little box. So basically, you might have gotten faked into one, but we were already long from way down here to begin with. But let's say that you use the box right here. You got short out of the box right here, and it never gave up after that. I mean, it just headed down. But the way you would do this box, let's just go over here to the right side of the chart, and we'll pretend, what time is it? It's 3:11 p.m. It's too late to do a box because it's after the market. But anyway, let's see if we can draw the box. Maybe we can. See, where'd my box go? All right. Let's draw it at 3. Let's draw it at 3 o'clock. So that'd be 15:00. And it should draw it at 3 o'clock. And the way you trade this is you just simply, let's just pretend it's 8 o'clock in the morning. And let's say that box draws. All you have to do to trade that is turn on your region, make sure it's not turned on yet, right? Hit your insert key. Okay, notice that it's not the size of my box, so I can actually drag it to where it is. And then I do that. And then that's ready to go if I turn this on and this on. So if this goes short out of here, you get a short. If it goes long out of here, you get a long. If you don't want to go against the trend, you can always turn off the one that's going the wrong direction. Okay, but you're going to find a lot of times you're going to miss on some good trades too, because when the market opens, we used to even just grab stealth, and we've got that ability now to actually grab stealth. But what if stealth was already in process? Let's pretend this is 8 o'clock right here. Okay, if you were doing stealth, you'd never get it because it never did anything. See what I mean? So I'm going to also add the stealth to where you're going to be able to actually get in a stealth if stealth continues. You know, if you look at this, you can see that stealth draws on each bar. See how it's doing? So in other words, what I want to do with stealth is to get it where let's just pretend that this is 8 o'clock and we want a stealth trade. Well, if this bar goes with green stealth again, you'd be able to get in it if it closes up. So it would get in on this bar long. Okay, that's going to be real-time stealth. That's something else I want added to ObjectTrader. Because if I miss this one way down here, I still want it here. I can't do a PM because it's already green, so I'd have to do a bar close, wouldn't I? Or maybe a region. Let's just pretend the chart was all the way over here and this was 8 o'clock. You know, I'd have to do like a region, close out, I'm long. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Now, one thing let's go over, well, actually, we're already 11 minutes after. I didn't realize I was already talking for over an hour. We'll table it till the next webinar, but what I want to go over next time is we're going to talk about the required trend, the auto LESC, and the auto features on ObjectTrader so that everybody will know how they work, because there's nothing more disheartening than trying to get in a trade and it didn't fire because you didn't know how to use the tools. And that's what I want to teach everybody, is how to use all the tools. Truthfully, I think Charles strictly uses region. He loves regions. But I added all this for all you traders that like to do different things. I don't even think he uses bar close, truthfully. I think he actually does just do regions. But I'd have to ask him because I don't sit over his computer watching him trade, so I don't know. Maybe he does use bar close. All right. Lee says he likes the predictor and the stealth a lot. Yeah, but see, the stealth, to me, you know, if I wanted it like here, for instance, but if the price was already here, I still want it if that stealth turns green. And see, each bar, that one went down, this one went up. So maybe I want to get it on that bar. See, because stealth stayed green. That's something I want to add to it. So, you know, no matter where you're in other words, if you choose to do stealth in the future, we're going to have a real-time stealth that you're going to be able to say that you want to go ahead. Maybe it'll be 0, which means just take stealth, period, anytime it turns green. So in other words, every bar it would do it, so you'd have to be careful with that. But then 1 would be where it has to go. First one, it'd do. If you did number 2, it would be this one. If you did number 3, it'd be this one. Okay, that's the way stealth works now. Okay. Yeah, the real-time lightning is going to be awesome. I think everybody's going to like that. I wanted it that way to begin with when we built it, but it didn't turn out that way. You know, a power meter, when it's green, it's just going to stay green until it takes out a swing. This will not turn red until it takes out that swing right there. Everybody sees that, right? High, low, lower high, lower low would only be if it takes out that swing right there with that bar right there closing down. Then this would change green, red. And then you could look for a green one again. But what if this just goes up right now and goes up another 50 ticks and that never changes? You can't get a PM trade. Because until that turns red, it can't turn green again. All right. 2 to 3 types of trades, and that's it. Region, PM, and bar close. Absolutely, Dennis. And that's what I wanted to mention too. And we'll wrap in just a second. Region is there on top because it's probably the most popular. Bar close is the next most popular by far. Okay? A person could make a living trading with those two right there. You don't have to learn all these others. You know, that way you just don't clog your mind and everything. Like the safer way to utilize the lightning with the trend better than the auto bar close, which can reverse the trend and still fire. Absolutely. And we're going to go over that next time, how to use these tools of ObjectTrader. And hopefully by then, you're going to see a mock-up with the new real-time stealth and real-time lightning, I'm hoping. All right. Thanks, everyone, for coming. I did not realize I yacked for an hour and 14 minutes. Everybody have a great evening, and we'll see you tomorrow in the trading room. Let's see. Is there a way to turn off stealth right now? There is no way to turn off stealth right now, correct? Well, Kenneth, you just don't use stealth. You know, if you've got stealth on and nothing's turned on up here, it won't fire. If you turn something on, it will. Okay, I hope y'all enjoyed it. We'll see you in the morning. Good night.